Coming up on Nittany Game Week.
Even with the final result being 0, we know it wasn't good enough just for our standard.
It's important to have high standards. Why an early season shutout is nowhere near satisfying for the Nittany Lions D.
That dude is different. I know you saw the one he had. We was backed up. He kicked it like all the way to the other side of the field. So he's special.
The special teams continue to shine for PSU. How new punter Gabe Wosu changes field position and momentum.
Not a lot of speed, but very effective in following his blocks and getting through the gaps.
But the shoulders are square. He's going to get extra yardage.
And His Holiness takes the transfer portal from Villanova to the Vatican City. Why Pope Leo makes an appearance in our scouting report. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. It's an early season shutout for PSU against FIU. Emphasis on the early season. You'll never complain when an opponent fails to score a single point. But there's clearly plenty of wrinkles to smooth out before the Nittany Lions jump into their Big Ten schedule.
Well, all over the place, offense, defense, there are little things that you look at and say, okay, against FIU or Nevada, you'll get away with that. But against some of the teams you're going to have to play, those things can be big plays.
Yeah, you're going to look at this game. Yeah, you got to shut out. You know what? You're going to nitpick the heck out of it because every little thing is a big thing from here on out.
When you are a coach, first order of business is always to review the previous game. The players on defense like the result but are far from satisfied with their performance. The tight ends are targets on offense, and the special teams continues to shine in our opening drive. PSU takes the field once again as a 40-plus point favorite. End result, never in doubt. And keep in mind, the Nittany Lions are getting their young players a bunch of snaps to build depth. But Florida International gains around 300 yards and was able to move the ball, Jay.
Well, yeah, and again, they got after it. They did some things. They did a nice job getting the ball down the field. They just had some turnovers that cost them. They had some fourth downs they went for they didn't make. Or that could have been a 10-10 game at halftime.
And one thing you always want to see, Tom, is the defense creating turnovers. First one, an interception from redshirt senior Alonzo Ford Jr., first in his entire football career. The next, a strip and scoop from true freshman Chaz Coleman, who has tremendous potential. So the turnovers, always good to see.
You talk about turnovers all the time. I guarantee he took that game ball home with him, and he put it right beside him. It'll be forever with him, and he'll be telling people that'll turn into one of the, by the time he's done talking about that play, he might have had 3 picks that day.
A big 0 on the board for the Panthers, but according to safety Zachy Wheatley, that is not what matters.
As a defense, you know, we knew we needed more. Even with the final result being 0, we know it wasn't good enough just for our standard. We want to be perfect. We got the greatest standard out there. So points is never really what we're going off. We're just going off of play, tenacity, aggressiveness. And I feel like as a defense, we could bring it more.
We're not playing fast yet. They're still thinking a lot with some of the new wrinkles in the new defense. We got to get some of those things cleaned up so they can play faster and more natural.
Now here's Coleman again. There's an awful lot to like about the 6'4" freshman.
On the other side of the ball, you know, we talked about week 1 that got the wideouts involved. The tight ends really became a focal point this week. When you look at them compared to the week before, 8 of the 19 completions went to tight ends. Total of 14 targets in that game. And look at the distribution from between week 1 and week 2. You see, you know, against the Nevada, it was wide out heavy, running back heavy, and then when you go ahead, you know, you look at 14 catches there for the wideouts and 2 for the tight ends. You flip to the next week against FIU, and now you got 8 catches from the tight end. A lot more balance, Tommy. You know that creates more problems for you in the secondary.
It creates a lot of problems. And one of the great coaching points is, here it is, you're on defense. One of the things you want to be able to play fast. Well, your job as a coach is what is too much? What slows them down? You get to figure that out in this game plan. Hey, I can do this up. That one extra thing starts to slow them down. They start thinking too much. So there's a fine line.
Once again, in the third phase of the game, the Nittany Lions shine on special teams. A lot of big plays to shift field position or to set up a score. A blocked punt by Dom DeLuca is an instant spark. The punt coverage team downs the ball inside the 5, and new starting punter Gabe Wosu booms one 67 yards to dramatically shift field position. Tom, these are all examples of how special teams can impact a game.
I know this for a fact. It's a great stat. How many games you don't win when you get a punt blocked, and how many games you do win when you block a punt.
No question, Penn State's offense, one of the things that's frustrating is they've benefited from great field position in the first 2 weeks. A lot of it because of special teams and flipping the field, punt blocks, punt returns, kick returns, and not translating those into touchdowns enough, and that's going to have to change too.
Yeah, add an 18-yard punt return from King Mack into the equation as well. One of the return men, Devontae Ross, has a glowing praise for Wosu, the guy with the big foot now handling the punting duties.
That dude is different. I know you saw the one he had. We was backed up. He kicked it like all the way to the other side of the field. So he's special. I mean, it definitely helps out that he's such a great punter and gives me a great look, at practice, getting to catch those punts and then getting in the game. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, net 50 yards per punt. All three for the game end up inside the 20. Solid debut for Wosu. We'll need that kind of production in the more important games coming up on the schedule. Up next, the Villanova Wildcats. A bit of a wild card on the football field. Not expected to offer much resistance, but will certainly offer up some exotic looks at the Nittany Lions to try and move the ball. Our coaches show us what to look for on the field versus the Cats when we come back on Nittany Game Week.
The opening drive is sponsored by R&R Express. Every shipment moved contributes to autism research and inclusion through the Excel Foundation. Learn more at wearerr.com. Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Respect every opponent. Doesn't matter who's on the other side of the ball. They deserve credit for suiting up, lining up, and squaring off with the blue and white. Villanova, an enormous underdog in Happy Valley. They get the attention of our expert coaches, Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno. What information have you gathered watching the in-state opponent that travels from the Philly area for this one?
It should be a lot of fun because it's an in-state school. It's a 1AA program, and there's a lot of Penn State alums and no Villanova alums. But I think the thing about it you got to understand about Villanova is there's been great continuity and great success at their level. Mark Ferrante, the head coach, has been there since 1986. Their defense coordinator, offense coordinator have both been there for multiple years. Defense top 10 in 1AA football the last 2 years. Let's talk about players to watch. McQuaid, the quarterback, is good. Abbott, if he plays or not, running back, keep an eye on him. He's a big back. If he doesn't, then they've got a capable guy behind him. But the Wildcat, number 3, Robert Prevost, we're going to look at him here in a second. He's really interesting. So let's talk about what they do from an X and O standpoint. They like mobile quarterbacks. They have both running backs next to the quarterback, and the quarterback does a run pass. They pull both guards, they read the backside, and the quarterback throws this down, hands the ball off to him, and that's a tough read for the defensive guys.
It's a real tough read for defensive guys. One thing I want to emphasize, too, is if you're playing in this game for Villanova, you know every pro scout's going to come and watch this game, so it's your chance to shine.
Yeah, they do a nice job. Abbott is tough to tackle. Let's talk about off that run pass action. They love the play action. Again, pulling the guard again. So this linebacker and these guys are seeing pulling guards, running backs going, they show run. Now, one of the things about play action passes when you don't have a true protection is if there's no pressure, you read high to low, and Tom, that's what happens here. They don't get a lot of pressure now. He can look for the deep ball.
It gives him plenty of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, no question. And you move the pocket, that kind of stuff, and that gives you a chance to get the ball downfield. Now, that said, I expect Penn State's corners to challenge those guys. Now, let's talk about moving the pocket, Tom. You and I talk about this all the time. When you got big-time pass rushers, this is against Maryland last year. When you got big-time pass rushers, you got to move that launch point from here to here. And what does that do to a defense when they do that?
Well, they have to be aware of the one thing: you don't want to be the Statue of Liberty and be in the same place all the time.
Yes.
If you want to move that pocket, so they have to adjust their pass rush.
And you can see on that pass protection a lot of help for the tackle from the inside and the back. So expect to see that. Now, we talked about the Wildcat, Robert Prevost. He's got a new nickname, Pope Leo. And you can see he follows the blocking here. He's got guys in front of him. And Tom, he really runs the daylight well here. Look at the video.
Yes, he does. It's amazing how he does that. He sees the hole and he gets right through there.
Not a lot of speed, but very effective in following his blocks and getting through the gaps.
But the shoulders are square. He's going to get extra yardage upfield. Yeah.
And the fans love him. I mean, look at that. So let's talk about defensively now. One of the things you're going to love is number 31 for Villanova is a throwback, Shane Hartzell. He's all conference. He'll be an all-American type linebacker at that level. They're aggressive up front. He funnels traffic. The whole defense is set up to funnel traffic to the linebackers. They get up the field and watch 31, Tom. Reminds you of some 31s you've seen. He really is aggressive here against Maryland on this play.
Well, I hope he doesn't play as good as the 31s that wore the blue and the white in this game.
No, a great play here and a great tackle on the open field against a Big Ten skill position guy. Now, one of the things they've done, they've played Big Ten teams last year and they played Penn State 4 years ago, held us to 80 yards rushing. A lot of cross blitzes inside on rundowns. If you can pick those things up, and these are hard to track, as you know, Tom, if you pick that up, that leaves you vulnerable in the secondary.
Well, they're gonna have to take a shot somewhere. So where's it gonna be? What do you want to stop?
Right.
You might want to take a chance to say, we're going to try to defeat you. We think we can handle your wideouts maybe. We're not sure about your run game. We're going to pick one or the other.
No question. If you can get the ball downfield, make some big plays, that's good. Now, third downs. We talked about Penn State had some trouble on third downs. A lot of third down blitzes. Here, they're going to put a guy on the tight end to try and hold him up. They're going to key blitz him to keep the back in. And now it's 3 on 3 downfield, and there's one-on-ones, and he's going to force your wideouts to make some plays, which happened last week, which is good. Now, Tom, you look at that, and the blitz doesn't get home. I know what it's like to be defense coordinator. Blitz doesn't get home.
It's a long day.
Thank you very much, coaches. So let's see. They got to face the Wildcats, divine intervention, potentially, and everyone in the Vatican City is going to be rooting against the Nittany Lions. Well, this is the final non-conference game of the season, one of the last chances for the coaching staff to substitute liberally to build roster depth. It's cool to see the veteran players show support for the young guys getting some valuable PT.
It's a really long season, so it's obviously good, to get the guys out there, other reps, they've been really good, they're out there, doing good plays, but, just got to keep it up.
And both Singleton and Katron Allen scored late touchdowns against Florida International. Both go over the 3,000 career rushing mark as well. Allen finished with a career-high 144 yards on the ground, which includes the 67-yard sprint in the fourth quarter. Our Impact interview is just ahead. We catch up with one of the best pass catchers in Penn State history and an outgoing personality. Former Nittany Lion and NFL wide receiver Deon Butler joins us to discuss his decision to walk on at Penn State and the 20-year reunion of that 2005 team. More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. He is part of the 20-year reunion for the 2005 Penn State football team, also part of the 2008 Big Ten champs. So he's part of 2 championship teams for the blue and white. He went from a walk-on to graduating as Penn State's all-time leading receiver, chosen in the 3rd round by the Seattle Seahawks, and perhaps more importantly, has a career now in cyber forensics. So we can't wait to dissect and go into that. Deon Butler, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So, look, your impact on the football field is well documented, Deon, but we've seen a lot of video of you making presentations and speeches to young people and talking to them about different things. Where does that come from, and what have you taken from your experiences at Penn State that you can use as you give messages to the younger generation?
Well, I think a lot of it, too, right, started at Penn State is just as far as us giving back to youth, right? Like at Penn State, we did a lot for the community there. So you already had that mindset of kind of you're a role model to a lot of kids, a lot of people in that area, and what can you do to make a positive impact? So carrying that with me, once I got into my cybersecurity career, it was just kind of a natural thing, right? There's a lot of people who are interested, right? Cybersecurity is like a new hot thing, but people are interested. How exactly do I get started in that? Can I do it if I'm coming from this type of background, or what are some of the different things that I should do to set myself up for it? So me doing a lot of what I do now, especially for the youth, you think about at that age, people just want to know, give me some advice, give me some guidance. And like I said, a lot of that I'm passionate about, and a lot of that starts from before at Penn State, when you're already in that mindset of being a role model to kids and to other people and being a leader in that space.
So, Deon, going back to 2005, in the spring of 2005, some of us as coaches started to realize how much speed and explosive talent we had on that team. At what point during the 2005 season, because there weren't a lot of expectations for that team, at what point did you and your teammates sense that this was going to be something special?
I think it was that Northwestern game for me, right? Like, obviously, we had a couple early games where some of the freshmen were being thrown out there, and a couple catches here and there and some things. But you always heard, well, this is not Big Ten play. This is not Big Ten play yet, right? We have been going against our defense, so we knew, that we had time, but you still got to take it out onto the field. So obviously that Northwestern game, and right, everybody knows about the fourth down, and so that situation that we put ourselves in to stay consistent, to stay level-headed, that was just as big as making plays as it was the situational football that we were put in. And that was like, hey, guys, one, we're still running around making plays, right? I remember Justin having a big play, Derek, obviously, and just some of the young guys. Jordan came on a lot in that game from an offensive standpoint. But it was just one of those things where, like, situationally, I think we saw how mentally tough we were, right? To be in the fourth quarter of a game like that and to stick through and come out on top like that. And that's when I think it really hit us of like, hey guys, we can be something special here. And I think some of the seniors, even on defense, right, scraps-led defense, I think some of those seniors like, all right, these little pups running around on offense, we might be able to do something with these guys. So, yeah.
Hey, Deon, Scrap, good to see you. Hey, you showed up to Penn State as a walk-on after turning down so many other offers. What gave you that confidence of believing what you could do at this level?
That's a lot of it, honestly. Coach Johnson, Coach Norwood, right? Coach Larry Johnson, Coach Brian Norwood, those guys that came to recruit me, just kind of like keeping me level-headed up, just like, hey, man, what you've done in high school, like watching your tape, seeing what you do, if you just carry that over, to what you do here, like I've seen it, you can do it, right? Obviously, at that point in time, I was instilling, right, a smaller guy, so a lot of the questions around me were size and things like that. So it was just kind of like a battle with me mentally of like, all right, everybody tells me you're good, but you're not quite big enough. So how am I going to be able to do that? So Coach Johnson gave a lot of confidence and just like, hey, I've been here, I've seen this, you can do it, trust me. And then being able to go out on the practice field and Scrap, I started on your side of the ball, right? Scout team out there, Jay was yelling at us, doing stuff. But, that was a big thing, too, as far as that scout team and starting to make plays there and just seeing like, hey, you belong. You're not just getting ran past. You're not just, being overwhelmed power-wise and things like that. So that scout team year starting on defense was really a big part of kind of really letting me know, like, hey, no, you belong. You can do this. You belong here.
You go from a young freshman who said kind of chill, then intense in certain moments. What about you and your personality and that career worked out? What do you like about cyber forensics? What's the best part of it for you, and what kind of sparked you to go that direction?
Well, the one thing I'll start off with that sparked me to go in direction, right? When I was at Penn State, I did forensic science, kind of your traditional crime scenes, murders, bullet trajectory. And we would have classes that were, if you recover a laptop and it was digital forensics, or a phone and people think they erased stuff. And how do you go back in and get that information off of the phone or the laptop? And I thought that was really, really cool. And I was like, man, I want to circle back to that whenever, we get into it or whenever football is done. So then that's kind of what drove me to that, and kind of the breach at Target was a big thing. And that was literally just people had to go back and find out, how did someone get into our network digitally, like digital forensics? How did they get into our network and figure that out? And that's what led me towards cybersecurity and getting a master's in cybersecurity when the football was done. So that's what drove me towards that. And then as far as like my, demeanor and attitude, right? I can't do an Ohio State speech with my people at work right now, right? I can't get them hyped that way when we're about to make some network changes or anything. But it's been really good, like the leadership that you learn. Right? You're around so many other great people. When I was at Penn State, right? I'm on here, obviously, Coach Paterno, Coach Scrap, and it's just like those were guys that had already been leaders at Penn State for so long and have been other places as well. And it's like you learn different leadership styles. You learn how to connect with people. You have hundreds of some teammates at Penn State, and I am so big on like sports teaching you so much on leadership.
We have much more at NittanyGameWeek.com. We need to step aside from the TV show for a quick break. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire conversation with Deon Butler, along with other web-exclusive content like our Nittany Connect Network and Nittany Game Week podcast. Don't go anywhere. Tom names our scrap metal winner when we return. His talents can be the difference in a variety of ways on the field. Find out who Scrap likes for this week's award. We're heading into the final minutes of Nittany Game Week.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Time for Tom to recognize our scrap metal winner. This guy adds an important dimension to the PSU offense, an explosive threat down the field.
Doesn't take long for Devontae Ross to show what he can do. In his second game wearing the blue and white, Ross catches 3 passes for over 60 yards, including a fantastic one-handed grab on a 42-yard touchdown pass from Drew Aller. He can make people miss in the open field, as he showed against Florida International. He can win one-on-one ball against the defensive back. You get this guy some open space on the field, and he can be a nightmare for pass defenses. Also is a threat in the return game. When he has the football in his hands, hang on, something is bound to happen, and mostly it's good.
It's trivia time. Last week's question, Penn State opened the season against FIU in 2007. Which current coach made his head coaching debut in that game? The answer was Mario Cristobal, the current Miami head coach. Bruce Muchler of Ocala, Florida, is our winner last week. This week's trivia question, who was the only Villanova football player to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame?
In addition to a television show, we're bringing Nittany Lions together with our Nittany Connect network at NittanyGameWeek.com, connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers and introducing our viewers to great Penn State-based businesses and their professional services and products. Our goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. And as you can tell with our Pope Wildcat formation from the scouting report, we like to have some fun on the show, and we have a lot to share with you when it comes to college football. It doesn't all fit into our 30-minute window here. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web-exclusive content. We are getting some awesome Pride picks submitted on the website. Continue to show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.